This is Bob Andelman, and this is the Mr. Media Interview, brought to you today by the Fitness Buff Show, the leanest, fastest hour on radio. Check it out at fitnessbuffshow.com and start getting fitter and faster today. There aren't many people who want to go to prison, not on purpose, not by accident, not even if they deserve it. Loss of liberty, loss of freedom, loss of privacy, loss of choice. And let's not even talk about toilets and showers. And yet, it's hard not to be curious about the experience. Now, I'm not talking about Lindsay Lohan or Nicole Ritchie doing a few hours of jail time, or even Paris spending a few weeks in the LA County Sheriff's Hilton. Rasha Drachkovitch takes film crews where few of us want to go, the most dreaded prisons in the world. As producer of the MSNBC documentary series Lockup, now in its 7th season, he's been everywhere from San Quentin to maximum security prisons in Moscow and China. Rasha, welcome to Mr. Media.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Appreciate your time today. Rasha, of all the places you could go in the world with a video team, you chose prisons. Why?
Well, as a documentary filmmaker, you're looking for stories, and I can't think of a more dramatic place to find stories than in maximum security prison. I'm curious by nature. The moment you walk into a facility, whether it's in China or whether it's in San Quentin here in California, there are a million stories to be told. And for our purposes, it makes for very, very entertaining television.
I have to ask, have you ever been in prison other than as a guest?
No, we do so many prison shows. We have a saying here at the company that somebody from 44 Blue is usually in prison. We do so voluntarily, and we're very, very lucky and fortunate when we do leave. But no, I haven't done any prison time.
You continue to be a guest.
Yes, exactly.
That's good. Was it difficult to sell this concept to the network or any network?
Well, originally it was. There's that kind of hesitancy by the networks to say, what are we really going to gain by it? And but after the ratings of the first one, we did a series about 10 years ago called Behind Bars: The World's Toughest Prisons, and the ratings went through the roof. It was on A&E, and we were the first Western film crew ever to film inside a Chinese maximum security prison, which was pretty amazing, very intense. We filmed in a Moscow prison, an Israeli prison in Hungary, Puerto Rico, as well as the U.S. And it really did very, very well critically as well as in the rating. And then from that, we went on to produce, Lockup for MSNBC. Now it's in its 7th season. It seems like it's on every other night on MSNBC. And we've done other shows. We did Cell Dogs, which is a prison series for Animal Planet about prison programs that help inmates help rehabilitate dogs. Very, very original series. And we have a series on Court TV now called Inside, which also goes into maximum security prison.
How difficult is it to go into these prisons where you don't necessarily speak the language?
Well, it is, some things are very easily translated, which is conditions. When you see 80 guys in a cell like we did in Moscow, or if you see, an inmate making boxes, 12 hours a day in a Chinese prison, the translation isn't really needed. You get a sense of the environment. We do have translators. We do have officials that can help us and ask the questions. But like I said at the top, Bob, the imagery and just the overall environment is self-explanatory.
Well, why? Why, when you go overseas to do this, you're in China or Russia, why do they want you in their prisons? That's something I imagine a lot of people are curious about.
Yeah, that's a very good question because the conditions are much, much harsher than what we would find here in the States, or let's just say what we would accept here in the States. We were fortunate enough at the time to be part of a prison warden program done by the Criminal Justice Institute in Chicago, and they basically did warden exchanges. They'd bring the warden from Shanghai to the U.S., and consequently we'd send a warden there. And so being able to go in with a film crew, I think the intent on their part was to showcase how effective their systems are, because the recidivism rate internationally is much lower. The irony is because, A, they don't leave, or B, they disappear. But we took advantage of the situation and their hospitality to go in, and again, we were shocked and stunned by some of the imagery. But at the same hand, they took great pride in showing us the way they do things.
Well, that was the question I was going to ask you. They probably take pride in showing it to you, and then what feedback have you gotten after you've done that? And that would go whether domestically or internationally.
Yeah, typically, especially in the U.S., I think being a warden or a correctional officer is a very underappreciated occupation. You usually don't hear about prisons unless there's an escape or death row or an execution. I think it's an opportunity for an institution in the U.S. to showcase what they do and to show the environment. We don't take sides. I think why the shows are so popular, we just hold a mirror up to what's going on inside. And so consequently, it's a fair depiction of life inside these very, very extreme environments. And I do think that's a chance for, whether it's Rikers or whether it's Pelican Bay or whether it's, Portland. We film now in 48 different prisons in the U.S. I think it's a chance for them to showcase what they do and show people, how difficult a job it is.
Have you heard from any of them after the fact, after the thing aired, and where they've said, "Oh my God, I wish we hadn't let you in"?
No, I'd say 90% have been favorable. There's on occasion, where there is maybe a little bit of a sensitive area. We show it all. We show relationships. We show weapons. We show pretty much surveillance footage of riots and fights. So some of the stuff you could say might be a little sensitive, but I'd say 90% have been favorable. They're there technically with us the whole time. Sorry about that.
That's all right. I think we just have to accept that that's part of the technology. Mr. Media is clearly not the only person trying to get your attention.
Right.